Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are enjoying your summer, your June. I was like all ready to have my June. Now it's June 12th today. So happy middle of June almost. It feels like time has been flying by. Usually I get to do all my videos from the car pickup line, but now I'm just hiding in my car while I have 5 minutes of peace to do this video. You don't have to hear the dogs barking or the kids yelling or the, peace. And my goal for June was talk about bloating because it's such a common issue. There's so many reasons why behind it, and I get this complaint a lot right now during the summer season because everyone's in their bathing suits or they're wearing dresses. They're like, oh, I don't feel so good, I'm really bloated, I don't understand why. And this month we're going to go through a lot of different topics because there's not just one reason why we get bloated. There's not one magical pill that's going to fix it. There's lots and lots of things that we can look at from a nutritional view, functional view, an anatomical view, all of these things that we need to be paying attention to. So I'm going to help guide you through all of it, give you some ideas, give you some testing, tell you where I start, and some things that you can get some help for yourself. So let's start with the easiest. The most common reason people get bloated is that they're just not digesting their fats, their protein, and their carbs. And what happens is typically we have enough acid in our stomach that all of that acid breaks down our food, gets into our small intestines, and bile takes over, small intestines take over, and everything's good to go. But if we don't have enough acid in our stomach, which is the most common reason for acid reflux, indigestion, bloating, diarrhea, because we have either too much stress, we're in fight or flight too much, our body is in freeze, we actually don't break down our food as much as we need to. So most commonly you've heard, oh, you need to take acid reducers because we have so much acid in your stomach. And what's actually happening is that food comes down, it sits in your stomach, and it has nowhere to go because our small intestine and stomach have that valve, or have chemoreceptors, so chemical receptors that say, okay, the food's broken down enough, it can come on through. But when it's not broken down, it stays in our stomach, and then it sits against the lining of our stomach, starts to rot and create a lot of acid, and then we start throwing up, we have reflux, it don't feel good, and we take Tums, we do anything to suppress it, and then the food gets forced through, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I'm bloated, I have diarrhea, I have IBS, I have constipation, nothing feels good, right? So what's our number one fix? Our number one fix is slowing down when you eat. I know. We all say, oh, I gotta do that, and then we all forget. This is probably the biggest complaint either with kids or with, especially me looking at my husband like, oh my God, you ate that in 3 bites. No wonder you have acid reflux. Like, put your fork down between bites. Do some deep breathing between bites. You know, ideally you want to chew your food 30 times per piece. Now that's a lot. Aim for 5. Start increasing it to 10. Our brain is actually our first organ that initiates digestion. It actually turns on our stomach. So while we usually think of our mouth being the first route of digestion, our salivary glands have enzymes in them. That's our first place of digestion. Actually, the first place of digestion is our brain. The smell, the sight, all of these things interact together. So we need to be in a calm state. So our brain could go, oh, we're resting and digesting right now, not eating in the car, screaming at people because they're driving too slow. I'm not driving right now. I'm sitting in my driveway. Just see, nothing is moving. Just hiding. We need to slow down. So I do recommend for most people to either, whether you pray, whether you say grace or thanks, or just everybody take a deep breath in. 4x4 squared breathing, just anything to calm you down. Turn the TV off, turn your phone off, put the book down, just really reconnect with your food and your body, and that will help. Distractions, including scrolling on your phone, playing games on your phone, watching TV, all disrupt our eating because our brain's like, well, hold on, we're not eating. We go away from rest and digest and we go into focus. And that can be in that fight or flight where we're like distracted and our brain's like, well, we're not eating right now. We're reading a book. We're watching TV. So turn everything off, really focus in on your food. That's the best help that really you can get. All right, so say you do all these things. Now what's the next step? Now there's lots of digestive enzymes on the market. Digestive enzymes are anything, when you look at the bottle, like Terrazyme, it ends in ASE. So amylase, protease, lactase, lipase, cellulase, all of these things, ASE, break down our foods. So protease breaks down protein, and betaine HCl helps thin our bile. Papain from papaya also helps calm and soothe the stomach. Lactase helps break down milk protein. So Terrazyme is one of my favorites, of course, from doTERRA. You can take 1 to 4 with meals. I tell people with a light meal, maybe you have oatmeal for breakfast, maybe you just need 1. If it's pizza, beer, and wings night, you might need 3, 4, 5. Like this is like after we went to like Buffalo Wild Wings, that was like our hot spot. It was like our favorite restaurant for so long. I would have this at the restaurant and take a lot because I can handle digesting fat and protein. So that's step 5. After all of those things, there's lots of things that we can do to help in there. You might need extra support. You might need actual hydrochloric acid. You might need more ox bile. You might need more pancreas support. So with that, the other thing that I like to use is called RepairVite. It's an amazing product. It's a powder from Apex Energetics. It has licorice root and aloe vera. It has all of the enzymes in it, but it also has calming and soothing things like marshmallow extract, slippery elm, moss, Spanish moss, chamomile, calendula. These all help one digest food, but it calms down the intestines, so it's soothing, it's relaxing, it helps food flow throughly. You know, everybody here knows me. I have ulcerative colitis. This stuff saves my life. It helps with pain, it helps with bloating, helps with digestion, all of that good stuff. The other thing that I like to add in for digestive smoothness is okra. And Solaray is my favorite off-the-shelf brand, but okra in general, whether you eat it and cook it, if you're someone like me who has serious digestive issues and can't handle vegetables as well, I would suggest taking the supplement rather than the food, just because you have to cook it down so much. So having it ground up and pre-digested for you can be a little bit more helpful. Okay. And then lastly, speaking of soothing, doTERRA's MetaPower Advantage powder is amazing because it has all that collagen and vitamin C and rose hips and sea buckthorn and resveratrol. All these things are going to be very soothing for your intestines, your gut, help break that. Well, this doesn't have any digestive enzymes in it, so when you combine these two together plus the Terrazyme, you're going to feel so much better. The example I gave, I worked with a neighbor and she was just constipated, and so I did a little mini plan for her, broke it down real quick, and it's like, you need Terrazyme, you need to take yarrow, you need to take the okra, and you need to take Zendocrine for her constipation to help her liver flush out. And literally the next day she was pooping consistently and happy, and her bloating's down, and she's feeling so much better because we need to poop to get all of the junk out of our systems. So this is really important. Now, if you find that you're bloated with like immediately after eating, 1, it could be a food sensitivity. That's typically most common. 2, it could be SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, where you're just not digesting your carbs, and that bacteria in your intestines that's not supposed to be there just blooms because it's like, ooh, we're having a party. They just sent us our favorite food, which is high FODMAP, which is a type of natural sugar found in garlic and onions, things like that. Immediate bloating can also be a sign that you're just not digesting carbs in general. If you find that you're bloated an hour or 2 after eating, then you're not digesting your fats and your proteins as well, which means you need to work on your liver, your bile, the type of protein that you're eating. If you find that you're, we giggle about this in our house all the time, but protein bars and protein shakes, those things are going to make you gassy. You're not going to break them down very easily. So make sure you're either taking your Terrazyme well, that's the okra. Where did my make sure you're taking your Terrazyme with them, or some type of digestive enzyme to help break that down. You might be sensitive to gluten and dairy. You need to cut those out, absolutely. And then, of course, watch those types of protein that you're eating. So fake proteins, protein shakes and protein powders, while we can rely on them and they can be a great resource for us, you might just not be breaking it down, or you need to try a different type of protein. So you might be too sensitive to the whey, you need to try pea protein or vegetarian protein or something else. Like, mix it up, try different things. And if you find that one digestive enzyme isn't working for you, go up to 2. You can go up to 3 or 4. You know, I wouldn't go past that, because at that point something else is going on, and you should not be reliant on taking digestive enzymes every single day for the rest of your life. And then lastly, the other reason, since today's kind of the digestive enzyme day, one of the really big reasons that you want to take digestive enzymes is because when our food gets into our intestines, it should be broken down into small pieces so it's easily absorbed, easily used by our cells. It can be transported into our cells, and we feel good, we have energy, we don't feel sleepy, everything is beautiful, happy, our body feels good, we don't feel bloated, all that good stuff, right? Now, what happens if you don't break down your food because you don't have enough acid in your stomach, because your gallbladder is either gone, like mine, we had to have it taken out, your hormones are a mess, your gut's a mess, whatever reason it is, those proteins end up coming full into our intestines. And our immune system actually really doesn't like that. It wants to see its individual pieces, its individual amino acids. So it sees this protein and it's like, what the heck is that thing? I don't know what that is. And it tags it. And this is typically what happens with gluten, and why gluten is so difficult and dangerous for our health and our body. So I say this is the gluten and the autoimmune talk, and I'm sorry, but we're going to have it here today. So our immune system tags it and says, this is a bad guy, we need to attack it, and it labels it. So every time you eat gluten or something with gluten in it, maybe it's ketchup or a salad dressing or just straight up pizza, pasta, bread, you're going to get bloated. Your immune system's going to freak out. It's going to start attacking it. It's going to cause inflammation. Our immune system is so wonderful, so intelligently designed, but it's not as specific as we would like it to be. As anyone with GI, autoimmunity, thyroid, or brain issues will tell you. So our thyroid, especially our cerebellum of our brain, which is in the back, but almost all of our brain, our pancreas, ovaries, and testes also look like the protein gluten. So as our immune system's traveling around, it has this, basically it's notes, and it's like tasting and it's testing our organs, and what are you, what is this, oh, this is strep, we need to attack it, or, ooh, what is this, ooh, this is a thyroid, but, you know, it's got this weird tag on it, it looks like gluten, let's attack it. And then every time you eat gluten, you feel tired and your hair falls out and you're like, oh my God, I'm bloated and sluggish and I don't feel good. Or it attacks your brain and you're like, oh my God, I have a migraine again and I'm so dizzy and nauseous and I don't know why. I can't even barely stand up. I have to go lay down. That's why, because your immune system sees our body as its own, as an outsider. And that's essentially what autoimmune disease is. So gluten in America looks like our organs, which is why we have such a prevalence of autoimmune disease in America. So while you can take things like Terrazyme, and it does have an anti-gluten enzyme blend to help break down gluten, make sure that we're getting it into its individual amino acids. You can take Gluten Flam. That's another great product from Apex Energetics. That doesn't solve the problem, though, that we're sensitive to gluten. So we need to get gluten out of our diets completely, especially if you have Hashimoto's, Graves', depression, anxiety, infertility, PCOS, all of these things. So just something to think about, do some research on as we continue to talk about this. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll keep going with the bloating talks and how to help support our digestive health this June. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in a day or two.